All right, guys. How you doing today? Looks like a lot of people in the room. So let's talk about something that the topic is going on right now, okay? So before I dive in, I want to thank the organizer for hosting us today, especially Kelly. Where's Kelly? There you go, guys. Kelly for making this happen. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. So, as we all know, this is something, we're going to talk something way beyond. As the title says, we're going to build something beyond the hype, okay? Something is going to take you the next step, okay? But here's the thing. I promise we won't talk about anything, any hype, no jargon, just strict, straightforward what the next, where this industry is going to head it. So that's what we're going to talk about. And, I kind of asked Kelly, I said, how long do I have up here? And Kelly said, 15 minutes. In crypto time, that's enough time to practically a full market cycle, But, this is a cool thing. It's enough for us to tokenize reality. And when we're on the topic for reality, let's talk about something really cool, which is blockchain. Are we all here because of blockchain? Not so much about crypto. We're going to talk a lot about blockchains. So what is it, guys? What do you think what blockchain is? Anyone knows? Okay. So blockchain to me, so I'm going to try and explain it in layman term. And since we're in Singapore, I'm going to use something local. Local example. So blockchain to me is like durian. Anybody know what durian is? Haven't even tried durian? Have you tried durian, anyone? It's a little spiny fruit. People call it, is really smelly, But other people say that, it's the future. It got a whole lot of vitamins. It got vitamin B, C, D. It even got magnesium. Here's the coolest thing. It even got healthy fats. Okay? But here's the thing with it. Durian is an acquired taste. That's what I think. I think durian's an acquired taste. And once you got a taste of it, you are hooked. So that is the simple term that how I explain blockchain is. Blockchain is an acquired taste. Okay? So, and I do see a lot of familiar faces in the room. But for those who don't know me, my name is Tony Late, and I am the founder and CEO of Mobino for NowChain. Okay? And I'm proud to say that we are the first to bring Mobino proven mobile consensus through our Mobino apps. Okay? So in simple terms, we make it possible for anyone with a smartphone to get on chains and to help secure the network and earn the rewards. So that's a step forward for making the space easily accessible and more meaningful for everyone, okay? And guess what? Since we talk about this topic, because the hype, I'm going to leave you something for you guys even before you guys leave the room here, okay? Because hype can take you to the moon. We talked about the moon a lot, okay? But only purpose can take you beyond it. So if you look at Tesla, if you look at Elon, he never talked about the moon. He always talked something about Mars, which is beyond the moon, because he built that with purpose, okay? So now I want you to look around you. You're in Singapore. So Token2049 isn't just a conference anymore. No, it's no longer a conference. For 2 days, Singapore becomes a pop-up city for Web3s, okay? So we have builders, dreamers, innovator, creators, and investor. They're all here today because they believe, you guys believe in something. You believe in something that's be way more than just the hype of the next month, okay? And if you've been in the market long enough as I have, we all have been through the cycle. Where you have the bull runs make the headlines, and you have the bear market that really tests your conviction. You know, when you see your portfolio down to 85%, 80%, you still hold on to it because you believe in something. That is conviction, ladies and gentlemen. And guess what? The real, every single time, you know, the truth really emerges. The project that survive isn't the loudest one. They're the one who actually solving real problems. Is that because of the hype, they want to pump that up? No. They actually solving real problems, okay? So what we've seen in Web3, and now Web3 becomes is no longer a speculation market. It's about transformation now. Okay. So we talked about DeFi, giving access to the unbanked, and NFTs. That's evolved from JPEG to digital passport to, you know, identity, loyalty, and creativity. Okay. And then we have DAOs, which funding climate actions, educations, and open source innovation, and many more, you know. So that is the transformation from FOMO to FOCO. Okay? And that's where we've been doing it now. Change, we're focused mainly on the community, and that's where the market's going to take us. You want to make sure that you build the community and take care of the community. FOMO to FOCO. You're going to hear that a lot from now on, okay? Because when you build something for people, and I believe that you build something and you focus on what you're doing, not just for profits, okay? You build something that will last, okay? So now let's make it a little bit more interesting. I know there's a lot of people talking in the room, but by show of hand, what do you think is the biggest hype? What is the biggest barrier to mass adoption right now? Did you guys hear what I said, or is it a little echoing? What do you think is the biggest mass adoption? Is it because the tech is too difficult? Or is it because the adoption, people kind of like, hey, I believe in you, but I don't, is it trusting? Or is it regulations? Interesting topic, regulation. I guess I changed my mic. I got my high pitch on there. It sounds like a little funny voice, right? So I just mentioned to you guys regulation. I mean, I was on here talking about regulation with Lou. Regulation is the funny thing too, you know. But seriously, what do you think is the biggest barrier right now for mass adoption? Anybody knows? Okay. I guess it's still kind of noisy. All right. Okay. So here's the thing. All the threes are actually going together. But let me take you back into 2012, okay? There's a small startup company called Coinbase. Anybody heard of Coinbase? Anyone here never heard of Coinbase? So Coinbase came out with the simple idea. They want to make buying Bitcoin as easy as buying a cup of coffee online. Remember, buying something online at that time was a little bit different than what it is now today. Okay. And also at that time, crypto was just an experiment, guys, in 2012. Okay. And you have the UX is very clunky. The trust level was near zero. Okay. Many people don't know what it is. I don't know how to get to it. I don't trust you. I can't buy it. And a lot of mainstream media even call it a fad or a scam, you know. They call a Bitcoin a scam. It's a big headline, you know. Don't buy Bitcoin. Don't do this. Don't buy crypto. It's all a scam, okay? But here's the best part, okay? Coinbase didn't care. And they mainly focused on one thing. Do you know what they focus on? Trust and usability. And that's what they focus on building. Okay? So what they end up was building a clean compliance at that time and user-friendly platform. Okay? Even though many competitors are coming in the markets and cutting corners, they focus on building and building and building. Okay? And guess what happened in April 2021? Anybody know what happened to Coinbase? So they became the first major crypto company went public on NASDAQ, okay, with an $85 billion valuation, okay? So ladies and gentlemen, that journey is not about luck. That journey is about relentless execution, clear missions, and a discipline to build for the future. Okay. That didn't waver them. They didn't care. They just want to build and make it. Basically, what they end up with is, hey, I'm going to build this one for the future. That didn't stop them, whatever happened. So they went through the bear market and bull market and everything else in between. Okay? So that is the builder mindset that I wanted to get to you guys. And the mindset that wins, okay? And let me ask you again. I asked you that question already, okay? So none of you guys actually raised your hand, but I'm telling you the questions about the tech, you know, who's getting involved, what the trust, the tech, the regulation, because these are the questions that actually we need to have today. These are the conversations that we need to have to get this, you know, industry forward. Because every single question that I asked, even though you didn't raise your hand, because that represents a challenge. And guess what? Every challenge represents an opportunity. So think about that, okay? I was up here earlier today. We talked about a lot of things, you know, because none of those barriers exist in the vacuum. We don't live in a cocoon. Policies, we have policies that are coming up. Industry, you know, we have regulations, a regulator putting regulations on. So policy, so we talked about policy adoption and treasury, okay? So these three forces actually shaping our reality today. And like I said, we were on here, the panel discussion before, we talked about those before too. So I want to touch really on that one, okay? So crypto policy create rules, like I mentioned. So rules don't really cure innovation. They create the trust that allow us to scale. Even though I'm myself, you know, if it's up to me, I wouldn't put regulation or policy in anywhere because we're a hard crypto guy. We want to be independent. That's what crypto is all about. But in order for us to grow, to make it safer for anyone else outside of crypto, you know, so they got to put on that somewhere. And it's the balancing act right now, okay? So we talked about institutional adoptions. That's when it gets really interesting too. So now you got pension funds, you have asset managers, and you have sovereign funds that enter the space, okay? And when that happened, when they enter the space, they don't really chase hype. They want clear, so when they get into the space, they want a clear infrastructure, okay, compliance, and risk management, most important risk management for them, okay? With those, when they put that in play, that forces us to grow and mature as an industry, okay? And then we talked about digital asset, okay? So we enter the world that balances, where balances are no longer hold USD, yen, or euro, okay? Now they actually hold tokens, stable coins, programmable assets, you know. And once that happens, that changes everything, guys, okay? So, because once treasuries actually enter the space, crypto is no longer an experiment, okay? And I call that Finance 2.0. So we're going from speculation to transformations. So when I ask you guys, what's really hold mass adoption? So what's holding us back, you know? The truth is all of these are connected. So if you look at policies actually build trust. And institution, they bring scales. The best part is treasuries actually cemented legitimacy for crypto. So it's not a bad thing, you know. And if you look at all together, now they shift from the crypto from speculation to integration. How do I integrate this into the next phase, okay? So let me kind of zoom out a little bit there. Yeah. So we're moving from the era of tokenizing real-world asset, or RWA. So if you think about real estate, bonds, commodity, even carbon credits, okay, all of them have been brought on chains, okay? So that's trillions of dollars we're talking about. That's trillions of dollars of value unlocked with faster settlement, lower frictions, and new liquidity, okay? So the line between TradFis and DeFis actually isn't blurring anymore. They're actually dissolving. So that's where the markets are heading, okay? And guess what? The institution that move first, they will set the standard for many, many to follow. So, okay. So it's a space where it's a race. What am I going to do first? Which country is going to go into first? How am I going to set it into a standard? Okay. But here's another topic that we all talk. We have seen all the news lately. I mean, it's really propping up. It's AI. So everywhere you see AI, everything you read is going to be AI. AI is going to cook for you. AI is going to do everything for you. Going to answer for you, except, I don't know, I wish to get an AI to clean my dishes sometime, you know. I want an AI robot that does everything for me. That's what I need, you know. It is exploding, you know, even in our industry. Okay. Just like before, you know, you heard I have an app for that. Now you can say I have an AI for that, you know. But here's the thing. AI has one critical weakness that nobody really talks about. Anybody know what that is? Okay. I heard something about foundation. Okay. And to talk to be a little bit more technical on that, we can really go technical on that, but we're going to run out of time. Okay, so let me this. AI is just a black box. Who really owns the data when you input it? Who owns the data? You know, and who actually verify the outputs? who knows the data is not manipulated. You agree? But the best part is this. We have blockchain. That's when it gets really interesting now, okay? So if AI is the brain, blockchain is the memory and the proof. Why? Because everything is on chain. You can see it right there. We can verify it, okay? So what they do is together they create an intelligence, okay? Not only just powerful, but trustworthy. Now we're getting really to it. I trust you. Yes, that AI system you built, I trust you now because we can verify the data. Not just go into a block box, I want, do all that, okay? And that layer will define which AI system will scale globally. So it's a race now, too. So this is what we're doing now, Chain. We are actively working on, or actually already working on, how AI can live natively on chain. How do we do that, So we don't want it to be a slogan, but it's a practical layer that strengthens the decision-making, risk management, and accessibility. That's what we wanted. Okay. So imagine the contracts, smart contract, okay? Don't just execute, but and learn how to imply the next one to get it better. Okay? And imagine digital asset treasury. Don't just sit idle, but they optimize themselves responsibly. Imagine that. That's the future, guys, okay? And that's the future that we're building toward, where AI isn't just a tool, but the partner creating Web3 economy that is not only scalable, but sustainable. And that's the interesting part, okay? So it covers a lot of topic with a short amount of time. And then we have regulations, of course, is come into play. Okay? And it's gonna be here. It's a huge landscape. They're going to play the huge role here. Okay. And the landscape is diverging really fast. Okay. So we have the U.S. is still debating policy in Congress. How am I going to do this? What's best for you? Is it best for you? Is it best for me? How am I going to make? We talked about it earlier. How are we going to do a fine line? Who's going to be in there to work that out? And then you have in Europe we have MICA that's moving fast. And the Middle East is attracting a lot of capital with their semi-clear framework. And of course, when that framework's coming out, they got to talk to a lot of people. Globally, how am I going to fit this into one? Because it's not one size fits all, And Singapore, guys, right here, it's always had been, they position themselves for an innovation hub. Okay. So here we go again. The regulation is no longer a narrative, okay? It's a global competition. And jurisdiction that gets it right and won't just attract capital, but they'll shape the next financial system. So I have my cues that are about to wrap it up, so I'm going to wrap it up for you guys, okay? Because none of this matters if the next billion user cannot use it, okay? So we don't win in Web3 when Web3 feels like the Wall Street meme, okay? So we will win when it feels invincible. It just happened. Just like the internet in the old days. Okay. So I'm going to put this challenge really quick here for you, okay? So if you are an investor, back the builders that build something that's really meaningful. And if you are a builder, build something that lasts for the next decades, not just the next pump, okay? And if you are a community member, I encourage you to be the voice that keep that project grounded, to not just negative feedback. That won't help, okay? So again, we're not trading tokens anymore here, okay? So we built something, we are practically here to build the next internet. And we're lucky enough to be in the space that we can do that, okay? the time and space, and that's what I call a conviction. You got to convict yourself to do that. If you build something that's going to be meaningful, don't worry about the next time and do that. Okay. So let me wrap this up to you. Okay. Think about this, guys. So the moon was never a destination. Never. Okay. You don't worry about the moon. The moon was never a destination. That was just the first stop. Okay? You got to build something that go beyond the hype. And it's all start right here, right now, with all of us together. Okay? All right, guys. If you have a question I can answer, I think my time's up. It's like I could talk all day, but time's constrained.
All right, thank you so much, Tony, for that wonderful presentation. Really appreciate you.